So I'm Hannah, and that is Poppins, and then my husband David. You can pick your head around. He's here as well.
David, you could actually
David,
sit
come
here.
join us. So
There you go.
let's see here. Perfect. So I have several different chronic illnesses, but where Poppins comes into play, I have a neuromuscular disease called myasthenia gravis. So with that, I have a lot of mobility issues. So most of the time, if we're out and about, I either have my walker, or I'm using my wheelchair. One thing Poppins does is she loves to hit the handicap buttons, so takes care of that for us when we're out and about. But for the treatment for the myasthenia, I also have hearing loss. So with that, Poppins is trained with a certain sound. So on my phone, my iPhone, if she hears that sound, whether it's an alarm, a phone call, if I've set a timer for the oven, she'll come and alert me that the sound is going off. Also, the reason why she is persistent right now is Poppins' greatest, I guess, claim to fame, if you will, is her blood sugar alerts. And I happen to be low currently. But so I haven't had this lifelong. So I started a new chemo to treat my myasthenia gravis, and in turn ended up damaging my pancreas, where I had dangerously low blood sugars. And so if you know about blood sugars, you really want to stay like 70 to 120. But I was dropping into the 40s several times a day, so I was really sick. Wasn't able to drive anymore, really disrupted everything because it happened so quickly. But with Poppins, we ended up finding out that she can detect that about 15 minutes before my meter does. So I wear a meter off throughout the day, which is great, but also technology fails. So if my phone dies, or if I'm out of range, or if they're having a server error, everything goes down. Well, you can, poke your finger every few hours, but you're not really sure what's happening in between. So Poppins, about 15 minutes before my meter goes off, she'll start nudging, and she'll start with me. If I do nothing about it, she will then go so whenever David and I are somewhere together, we separate. She's always looking for him because she knows, like, oh, that's my go-to. But with that, we even had an instance a couple of months ago where she woke David up at 2 o'clock in the morning, which was really weird. So she doesn't sleep in our bed, she sleeps on the floor, and so she woke him up. He couldn't wake me up, and he went to check to find out that the meter had been disconnected. Well, when we checked my sugar, I was in the 30s. And so, you don't want to think like, well, what would happen if Poppins hadn't woken him up? But at the same time, we're really grateful for that. So she's been a blessing to us in that I lost a lot of independence. So I wasn't able to stay home by myself because I couldn't always feel those changes happening fast. He couldn't be with me all the time. So we were in this really strange dynamic. But if it wasn't for her, I really don't think he would leave me much throughout the day. Even the nurses at the chemo clinic now, they watch her to see if I'm asleep. If she starts nudging me while I'm asleep, they'll just go ahead and treat for a low while we're there. So she's been we knew she was going to be a blessing. Doctors had talked to us throughout the years of a service dog, but never could give us a lot of answers on how will this help our life. Like, yes, that'd be neat to have that. It would be neat to have that partnership. But at this stage of my life, I truly don't know what we would do without. She's part of our care team at this point. So she's been a blessing to us. We've also, what they were talking about, we've had unfortunate interactions. We did have a service dog in a stroller at Hobby Lobby go after her one day, which sounds silly. It sounds inconsequential, but for us, we don't need her traumatized from another dog, big, little. What she does for me truly is a life-saving thing at this point, and I can't not have that. So if somebody brings theirs in a stroller and traumatizes my task-trained service dog, we got a problem. So yeah, we're super thankful for Poppins. She, even over time, the neat thing about service dogs is because folks like Karen and them have trained them to be so intelligent, it's really easy to build upon that. So there's so many things that she and I do on a daily basis that just deepen that partnership, and she's been a blessing to the two of us.
All right, another question. How long have you had her?
So we got Poppins in 2020, and she graduated from here in 2022, I believe. So we've been together for about 4 years because we got to build that partnership. That's one thing. We were already pretty bonded, but yeah.
One other question, please. Where did you get your dog?
So we actually got her through a breeder in East Tennessee, but he's not breeding. Yeah, Crossville, Tennessee. He's not breeding anymore.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
How did you come up with the name Poppins?
So, and we wanted to name her Charlotte so bad. So we got her home. We called Charlotte, Charlie. You know, we tried it. And we got to the point where we thought she might be deaf because she didn't respond at all. And so then David opened a soda can in the kitchen and she came running. So we're like, okay, good thing she can hear.
It's not deaf.
But we took her over to my mom's house, and Mom was like, she's kind of like Mary Poppins. She's like dark and mysterious, but she has the most hilarious personality. In the vest, she's very prim and proper, but you take that vest off of her, and she's a little bit of a loon. But, what'd you say?
Cold switching.
Definitely. The neat thing though is, so Poppins got to serve with me on jury duty here in Wilson County. They said that Poppins was the first service dog to serve on a trial jury in Wilson County. I haven't fact checked that, but that's what they said. So what I didn't realize is with jury duty here in Wilson County, you can't take your phone or a smartwatch with you, which meant that my meter, it didn't read anything. I had nothing to give me readings on my blood sugar. So Poppins and I had fun throughout the day, and when Poppins would alert, I would write it down, and then I'd go home in the evenings. 100% success rate for that, what was it, 4 days? The 4-day trial? So that was pretty neat to see. You know how good they are, but when they're really put to the test,
Right.
when that's what I had to rely on, that was really neat.
Awesome.
Amazing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not to harp on your my experience,
Oh,
but
no.
my daughter has it too, and her dog got some type of symptom. It's not a service dog, but it alerts her of things, but it's not trained. So I'm wondering, how does the dog know?
So initially with Poppins, Poppins was trained here from Canine Companion. She did the task she was trained was for the hearing task, pressure, which is one of my favorite tasks that she has, and then for some other mobility tasks here as well. So she wasn't initially trained for the blood sugar detection. So what we ended up finding out was Poppins would get up and alert. We didn't know what was going on, and then I'd feel really, really sick. And so we had talked to Karen. Karen was like, well, just track it and see what happens. And so we ended up catching that she was figuring out those lows, and then with scent training, which is a whole other thing, you can really hone that down to be a specific range. But they're just very intelligent. They have a lot of instincts. So she has even alerted to people who aren't me. So when your blood sugar drops, there's a hormone that they can smell in your breath, which we thought was person specific until we went to Chick-fil-A one day, and she was whining, trying to get somebody. We were like, I don't know what that's about. Poppins is not like that in her best ever. So he ended up becoming friends with us over time, and we asked him one day, I was like, look, you don't have to answer. Are you diabetic? And he was like, yeah, last time y'all were here, I was really low. And I was like, well, that's go to it.
Poppins loves to please anybody, but specifically her. And so we went through the first round of training here, and she was about as spot on as you could be. She wanted to fulfill the commands, and we had her in a downstay across the room, and she broke her downstay. And we couldn't figure out, like, what on earth would cause her to break a downstay. And that's how it started, is she was breaking commands, and we were like, this is not okay, we've got to talk to Karen. But we noticed that was kind of how it started for her. And that was something that obviously we didn't have her trained to do that, but we started to notice that was something she was allergic to.
Wow.
And we had to learn as much probably about that as she did. But it was really neat to be able to experience that with her kind of for the first time. And also rein in your, hey, get yourself out of there.
Okay. One more question.
How old was she when she started training?
I believe she was 7 or 8 months.
We usually start about 5 months, but I don't know, you
We
might
didn't have her yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we got Poppins when she was just had turned 5 months. So I believe we started with Karen here at 8 months, and then she graduated around when she was 2.5, maybe a little older than 2.5. So we
Yeah.
spent about 2 years here with them. So